there, I'm Jeanette, stampingwithsafiandme.com, and today's project is this one. It's a really pretty Valentine's Day card. It does look super simple, but there are quite a few elements involved in how to make this. So I wanted to show you this project today. Don't forget, all these supplies can be bought from my shop at stampingwithsafiandme.com. I will list them on my blog. So you won't miss anything. Now, before we make the card, we are going to have to make the envelope because it's not a standard card, it's not a flat card. So I've prepared most of it and I just wanted to show you how it'll all go together. I've actually got some tear tape on there because when we actually finish making it, it'll just stick like this. So basically, your card will slot in like that, and then when you lift the bottom up, you just need to make sure that it is just at the bottom of the little chocolate box there. That's why we need to make the envelope first, just to make sure that your score line is in exactly the same place as mine. So I'd make your envelope, and then before you're sticking it all together, you can pop your card in, and that'll give you a good idea of where to put it. And how it will work is we'll stick it all down. This will go on top to protect the chocolate, so that will slot inside. And then this piece just comes over and it fits beautifully. I've made it to fit perfectly. It's really, really snug in there. It's not going to move at all when we've got that stuck down. And I've embossed mine. That's totally optional, but I wanted mine to match since it's such a pretty card. So I'm going to run through how to make the envelope first of all. So you're going to need, let me just put that to one side in the card, you're going to need a piece of Whisper White, standard Whisper White, and it needs to measure 11 3/4 by 6.5. So let's get that scored first of all. I'm just bringing my score board. And we're going to score the short side first. So we've got the 6.5 side. So you just want to score that at 5/8 of an inch. Oops. And then just whiz it around, turn it around, and you want to score again at 5/8 of an inch. You then want to turn it round and you want to score on the long side 1 7/8 of an inch. And then you want to score at, let's have a look, what have we got here? Sorry, 7 1/8 of, so yeah, let me just have a look at my instructions here. 1 7/8 of an inch. Yeah, we've just done that. And then 7 1/8 of an inch. And then 10.5 and 10 7/8 of an inch. Oops. Okay. And then you also want a piece. It's just this little piece to protect your chocolate. So you want a piece that measures 5 3/4 of an inch by 1 3/4 of an inch, and we're just going to score it on the long side, and that is 1 7/8 again, 2 1/4, 3 1/2, and 3 7/8 of an inch. And that's just for your insert. The chocolate actually measures, let me just get one out. If you were going to get something similar and you couldn't get this exact same chocolate, I think it measures 1 1/4. Yeah, it measures 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. And I think it's about 3/8 of an inch deep. But I think you'll be able to get that this time of year, to be honest. I don't think you have a problem, certainly in the UK anyway. Right, let me just put that to one side for a moment. And then we want to burnish all of the score lines. My bone folder. Yeah, I tend to make most of my envelopes on the envelope punch board, but course you can't do that with this one. So it's not a standard envelope at all. Okay. So burnish all of your score lines. This one will go that way. And this, the last one, will go that way. Okay. Like that. So the next thing you want to do, in fact, let me do this. I was going to just show my example, but I'll just quickly run through this. You want to cut off. You want to leave your middle section as it is, and you want to cut off this side, that little bit, and that little bit. If I can bring in my template, you can see exactly what it looks like. So let's just quickly cut those off. I'm actually making a few of these anyway. I did promise a couple of people at work that I was going to be filming. They knew I was going to be filming today, and they knew it was going to be a Valentine's Day project. And I did say to them that I'll be bringing a couple of the cards in, because you always need a couple when you're filming. You do end up with quite a few boxes and bags and cards and things like that. So I am going to start taking my things into work, and then they can just help themselves, really. I don't need to keep every single one. I just need to keep an example of one of my tutorials. Okay. So now when you're cutting, just cut at a slight angle. Cut a little bit more off there. You can see what I've done. And then on this one as well, just cut it at a slight angle there as well. And that one. Okay. So then what you can do, this is optional if you want to do the embossing. What you will need to do is get your embossing folder. This is from the Petal Passion range, which I've used this a couple of times now. I absolutely love this. Pop it in. You will need to pop it in like that, and then just put it in the middle or wherever you want it. You will find you will need to fold it up to get it through your big shot, but just by eye, pop it in like that and just run that through your big shot. That's all I did for mine, and then I ended up with that. So we would now be at that stage. I've put a little bit of tear tape on there, and when we finish the card that we're going to make, I will seal that up. I've also just rounded these corners as well. I like to do that. I think it just finishes it off, but that's entirely up to you. So that is how we make the envelope, and I'll get on with making the card for you now, and I can show you how to measure the card before you actually stick the chocolate on for the actual card base. Okay, so let me put those to one side for now. So it's pretty simple to make your own envelope. I'm sure you'll probably know how to make them anyway, but it's just those score lines. Okay, so the bits and pieces you're going to need, just put that there, is your card base. I've gone for a 10 by 5, so it's a 5 by 5 card. I just like a 5 by 5 side. That's just my preference. So you'll just need some thick Whisper White. This, by the way, this envelope is in just standard Whisper White, just to let you know, but you will need the thicker for the card base. So yeah, 10 by 5 inches, just scored in half at 5. I'll give you that. It's entirely up to you whether you want to go that way or that way. The other bits and pieces you will need as well are, you need a 3 by 3 in real red. We're going to score that in a second. You're also going to need a stitched shape framelit, and that's the large one, so just cut that out as well. That can be in the standard Whisper White or the thick Whisper White, it doesn't really matter. And then you're going to need a layering scallop, and that measures, I'm sure it measures 2 3/4. I think it's the 2 3/4. It is, but it is the one that layers really nicely with your stitched shape framelit like that. And the other thing we're going to need is the window sheet. You just need a little bit of window sheet, and you will need, I've found that the very smallest stitched framelit is the perfect size, so you just need a little scrap of that as well. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is score. So I'll bring in my scoreboard again. And we're going to score 1/2 inch, that's 1/2 inch, and 7/8 inch. Okay, so you want to do that on all 4 sides. So 1/2 inch and 7/8 inch. Just gone off a little bit there. And 1/2 inch and 7/8 inch. Okay. That to one side, and then the next thing you want to do is just burnish your score lines. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do is we're going to cut off, we don't need that all the squares. That one, that one, that one, and that one. So we're just going to cut those away. Really enjoyed making this project. I hope you enjoy it too. I will make one of these cards for my husband, even though he's seen it. Doesn't matter. He knows how much hard work's actually gone into coming up with the idea, designing it. Yeah, it took me quite a while actually to do this. It looks pretty simple, but as you can see, there's quite a few elements involved in making it. So you're going to end up with that. Now, let me just grab the next framelit that you're going to need. So we are going to, in fact I haven't got it out, let me just grab it. It's from the layering square. We're using the layering squares and also the stitched framelits for these. We're using a mix of both. And it is that one actually. I'll measure it in a minute. So we need to cut out, you need to pop this on your big shot, pop it in the centre, and you need to cut it out. And then I will put that measurement on my blog, and I have just done one just to save a little bit of time. So then it will look like that. So once it's cut out, it will be like that. So shall I just measure that hole? It's 1 inch. It's your 1 inch square die that you need for that. So I'll just put that to one side. And the next thing you want to do is bring in the little window sheet that you cut out with your smallest stitched framelit. And what we're going to do, we're just going to insert that in there. And you're going to do that using glue dots. And your paper piercer. So you want to get yourself a glue dot in each of the corners, and that secures it up absolutely perfectly. I found this is the best thing to use with the window sheets. I did try using the multi-purpose glue, but I think it would have taken forever. So you just want to centre that. Then you can use the stitched bit. You're not going to see that actually, but you can actually use that to put it in. So there we go. You can see it's actually looking something like now. So you also want to bend those back that way. And then you'll find that it goes together. I can see it coming together now like that. The next thing you want is the large, I don't know what I've done with it now, but yeah, just cut yourself a large, using the large stitch framelit. You want to do that, and then you also want to cut using this framelit. It is one of the scalloped ones. I'll measure that in a minute. And all I did before running it through the Big Shot, I just popped it on. That's around about the middle. You can measure it if you like, if you want to be really accurate. I didn't feel a need to do that, but you certainly can do. And this one measures, when it's cut out, it measures 1 1/4 inches. So that's the one you want to use for that. So go ahead and cut that out. The next thing that we're going to do, the next thing we want to do is, if entirely up to you, but I embossed mine. So again, you want to grab your embossing folder, and it's quite easy to do because you just make sure you've got the same amount of card on either side, just poking out like that, so you know you've got it in the center. Again, it was really easy to just pop through the Big Shot and get it quite accurate, because you can use your stitched edge as a guide as well. So run that through your Big Shot. When you've done that, you will have that. So it looks a little bit strange at the moment, but what you're going to do then is pop that through. Now it is quite a tight fit, but you just need to push it through. I might just have to bring it in a little bit so I can see it. That's it. Oh, it's going through quite nicely. There we go. So that's just popped through like that. And now the next thing we're going to do is glue the flaps down. So we want to get some glue on these bits. On all four. So multi-purpose glue is really good for this. I would imagine you could use your fast fuse as well. And tear tape, you could probably use that. And then you just want to secure those down like that. As you can see, it is really coming together now. I mean, once that chocolate is popped in there, that'll secure the window in as well. Now the next thing I did, I used this gorgeous ribbon. This is really beautiful. This is also from the spring summer catalogue, and it's the organza, organza ribbon. It is, what does it measure? It measures quarter of an inch, and it really is beautiful, and it's the perfect width for this card as well. So all I did, make sure you have a look at your little design now, and just have a think, oh, which way up do you want it? I think I'm going to have mine that way up. This slightly more of the embossing on that way. So we are going to wrap this ribbon around, and we're just going to tie a knot. So I just need enough to tie a knot. So I'm just going to cut it off there. And then we want to bob a couple of glue dots, and this was the easiest way again. Trial and error. It's been a lot of trial and error making this little thing, and you just want a glue dot on either side. Just hold your ribbon in place while you're tying it, because it is quite fiddly. So glue that on that side there. Okay, so you want to wrap it round, just make sure you've got an even amount on either side, and just wrap it. Stick on there like that. You can do it fairly tightly. There we go. That to one side, and then just tie a knot. You could tie a bow if you wanted to, but I found a knot was really pretty, so I've gone with that. Another pair of hands really when you're doing this. So if you do have anybody to hand that can help you, that's all, that would be good. So there we go, that's the top of it. And then it's up to you how long you want to leave it. I'm just going to just pop that there and pull that out there. There, that looks better. And then decide, yeah, how long you want it. I'll leave mine quite long actually on this one. There we go, put that to one side. So the next thing you want to be bringing this. You want to bring your chocolate in as well, of course, but you're going to just glue that together. So grab a chocolate and you will find that fits really snugly in there. And just push it in and just make sure, just give it a fiddle around and just make sure you get it the right way up. There we go. And then that's in the centre there. And again, just some more glue. I mean, this bit's easy. It's just all the fiddling around, really. It's not a difficult card to make. It's just knowing which framelets to use. Plenty on. And just make sure your chocolate doesn't move at this stage, and then stick that on there like that. So that's the majority of it done. You just want to hold it for a few seconds if you're using Tombow. Again, fast fuse would work as well. But where I can, I do use Tombow because it just gives me those extra few seconds while it's drying that I can actually move it into place. Okay. So we need to think about where we're going to be putting it. Now, I was wondering about doing some heat embossing, which I might still do. And if so, I need to stamp first and heat emboss, don't I? Because I don't want to melt my chocolate. So let me just see how far I need to do it. So that measures, oh look, 1 inch. The top of it measures 1 inch. That's quite good. I hadn't even realised I got it so accurate. Right, okay, so what you could do is put a little pencil line, I suppose. Or we could use, I could just use this, couldn't I? A pencil. So if I just mark that and then mark that side, and then I know that was the top of it, wasn't it? Let me just measure again. Didn't really give this much thought. Yeah, so that's the top. So it needs to be around about there, doesn't it? Okay, so let's have a go. Let's do some heat embossing. So basically I've got the I Love You, and I've taken that from the Thoughtful Banners stamp set. I've had that quite a while now, but I do find this a very useful stamp set to have. And I've also used Always Artichoke. I was fiddling around with colours and I just thought this was really pretty colour and went really well with the white and the red, and it wasn't as harsh as the black. So I'm going to use that as well. And then you want some Versamark. You grab that. And you also want some a clear embossing powder. So let's just put that there. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is pop your stamp in the Versamark. I also need a foam mat as well. Pop that underneath, because you do get a much better impression when you're stamping if you do have a foam mat underneath. So I'm going to use my ruler as a guide. Hopefully this is going to work. I don't have the Stamparatus. That would be ideal for this card, to be honest. Let's just hope I get it right. So, Versamark into the ink. Make sure we're inked up. And I need to get that in the middle, don't I? So let me just use my ruler. And the middle of this is going to be, let's just do that, otherwise I can see myself doing this wrong. So it's 5, so 2.5 is going to be the centre, so it needs to be around about there, doesn't it? Oh, I hope that's centred. Really can't without putting my head in the way. That's not too bad, is it? Let me just get rid of those. And then what you want to do is get your clear embossing powder and pop that on. I'll tell you what I haven't done. I didn't use my embossing buddy, but let's just see how it turns out. Because it's clear, it's not going to be too bad, which I should have used. What I tend to do, I always have a little paintbrush handy. I use it for all sorts of things, for glittering, for embossing. It's just really handy to have, so that's okay. Let me just put that to one side as well. Otherwise, it's going to blow everywhere. Let me get rid of that. And now I'm going to heat emboss, so I do apologise for the noise. I'm just going to heat it up. And I tend to heat the back as well, front and the back of the card. I think it just stops it warping. And then as soon as it's warmed up, you will see it. There we go. I'm glad I did that actually. It's worth it. I think when you're spending so much time doing a card, heat embossing just really does set it off. It's lovely. Yeah, I really like that. Switch that off. I do apologise for the noise there, okay? The other thing you want to do, if you have made a couple of pencil marks like I have done, just rub them out. And I suppose because we measured, we measured where the sentiment was going to go, it should. Grab your envelope that you made earlier, pop it in, make sure it's dry, and then just see, just make sure that it's going to fit before you stick it down. So I'm probably going to do mine about there, and that's plenty of room. I can even probably bring it down a touch more, and that will still fit, and it does. That's great. Perfect. So that is the reason why we're making the envelope first. Okay, and then all you do, very simply, plenty of glue on, and then just pop it on. Again, you just need to wait for it to properly dry. Make sure you've got it straight as well. Is that straight? I think that's straight enough, isn't it? And then finished off with a really pretty card. As I say, I'm probably going to end up with about, well, 3 of these, I think. So I'll take them all into work, and they can have them. And how pretty is that? And it stands up beautifully as well. It's not too heavy at all because we haven't put too many layers on. It's not a heavy card at all. And that's gorgeous. I love that. Anyway, just finish off then. Pop it in your envelope. Just double check it fits. Yeah, fits beautifully. Take it out. I'm going to take my tape off. Firmly stick it down, and then that should work. And then the piece that you made earlier, did I go through making this with you? I can't remember. I'm not too sure I did. So I'll just do that with you now. So I thought I'd finished and I hadn't. So many little bits and pieces that go to make this card. So let me just go through these measurements with you. Scoreboard, let me bring that in. It's really quick and easy anyway. So I don't know if I've shown you, but if I have, I'll show you again, just in case. Better to show you twice than not at all. So yeah, this measures a 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. So you just want to score it 1 7/8. I think I did do this with you, didn't I? But never mind. 2 1/4, 3 1/2, and 3 7/8 of an inch. And that's all there is to it, but it'll just protect the chocolate as well, and make sure that it all stays in place. So fold that like that. In fact, it'd be better if we give it a burnish. Let's give it a burnish. Burnish that side, burnish that side, and then this one folds the other way. Let's fold that one that way, like that. And then when you're sending your card or hand presenting your card. They're going to be extremely impressed with the quality of everything. And that will just slot in there. So make sure you put plenty of tape all the way across, because you do want it to be absolutely secure when you're sending it, and then butt it straight up to the chocolate, and you will feel when you've actually made your card, because you've done it in Whisper White anyway, it's thicker than normal envelope paper, and you can feel that's really secure in there. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere at all. Saying that, I haven't put it in the post, so I don't know. I suppose it could get crushed, hopefully not, if your postman is a nice postman. Let's just hope he is. But it really is. I mean, there's all sorts protecting it. You've got your real red cardstock, you've got your window sheet, and you've got some more card on top of that, so it should be absolutely fine. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that project. I'm not going to seal mine because I haven't written it yet, even though my husband's seen it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed that project. If you did, do like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and next week I do have a bit more of a basic project for beginners, because I don't want to forget any beginners out there just starting out with Stampin' Up. I do remember my first days and I found it totally confusing, so I am going to make some time for beginners as well. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you. Bye bye.